Hello, everybody. Give me a thumbs up in the window if you can see me, if you can hear me. If you can't hear me, give me a thumbs up anyway. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the fun I'm having doing Zoom shows. And I think that optimal word there is fun because I'm loving this. I am absolutely loving this. I had a choice to make in April when all this, or in March actually, when all this hit. And my gym coach was very instrumental in motivating me and all of us at the gym to just embrace these moments. And I remember something that I think it was Bruce Jordan said at one of the SAM meetings back in the early 80s. He said, you know, when times are tough, people still want to laugh. Always remember that. I've always remembered that. Right after 9/11, it was the same way. People still needed a reason to laugh. And so I'm confident that people want to be entertained. They might be in a different mood. You got to understand and adjust, but they want to laugh. And so you have a choice to make. You can either embrace this, or as some magicians have said on the internet, you know, magic is meant to be done. Magic is meant to be done live. None of this on virtual stuff. It's meant to be seen live. Okay, all right, that's fine. For the first, well, I don't know about for the from March, middle of March to about the end of April, I really wasn't planning on doing any virtual shows. I really wasn't. I was spending time because my coach said, why don't you start creating video? Why don't you get some video out there? Show, I mean, you know, use the social media. So he told me about a simple app called, what's it called? Video Shop. It's just a simple app for your phone to create little movies, if you will, on an iPhone. And it's actually was pretty easy. So I had fun doing that. And then he asked me to perform for the gym. So I did a private show just for the gym. And it was great because here's the thing. While I was cooped up at home, I don't know where all this creativity came from. I really don't. I'm like, wow, I'm creating so much content. I'm coming up with all these ideas. I guess I was forced to do it. And again, I'm loving it. I'm embracing it. And, you know, I remember Robert Strong said, you can either adapt or die, talking about making changes with the latest technology and how businesses run now and how people find you. You know, Yellow Pages is gone. Print advertising is kind of gone. It's all social media. I'm not real keen on all that social media stuff yet, but you have a choice to make, either adapt or die. So I'm looking at people here. I don't know where you are in your magic career. I don't know if you're, you know, just interested in hearing what I have to say. I don't know if you're thinking about doing virtual shows. I don't know if you're, you know, reluctant to do it. I don't know if you're already, maybe you're already doing it. Maybe you're successful. That's great. Last night at the McBride School, people told me a couple of things, little nuggets that they really got a lot out of. So I'll open up for questions here soon because I have to finish before 8 because I know Gary got the stopwatch running there. I'll show you a couple things. But here's the cool thing. So after I did one of my first shows, I finished here. I'm in the garage, by the way. I call it the studio. And by the way, I'm moving into a new studio in 2 weeks, the living room. Hey, I know the owner. I actually sleep with her. And the price is the same too, the rent. So I can't beat that. So it'll be a little cooler in there. So here's the cool thing. After I finished one of my shows, my wife came out. She said, how'd it go? And I said, it went great. And then I went and sat down in the recliner, and it was weird. It was just felt weird. It felt empty. And I thought, you know, that's exactly how we all have these shows where the audience is just not with us. There's no response, right? So it felt that way. And I thought, you know, I've had shows like this where you get in the car and you drive home and you're like, did they enjoy it? I don't know. They were kind of quiet. You know, you wake up middle of the night and you think about your show. Gee, did they laugh? Did they smile? Which taught me more to really pay attention to the audience so I can capture those photographic memories in my head so I can see them laughing and see them smiling. But anyway, so it is kind of weird, but we don't have a choice. And my acting coach taught me to look at the camera, which I'm doing right now, because down here is the screen. And I'm using an iPad, and right next to it is a little figure stick figure that I created, the word smile. And I'm looking right at that, and out of my periphery, I'm kind of looking down here, but I don't want to be looking around. So also, the cool thing is after the show, I watched the Zoom video of the performance, and it was a wonderful moment. I actually was like, wow, I got to see them laughing. I got to see them going, oh, there was a video of my gym coach and his daughter that, oh, and it was great because I can't look at that. I have to look at the camera. And I call it the show after the show. It's the show that I get to see, us performers that we get to see. And what a great moment. And then I knew that I was giving them what they needed. So, you know, I think we have a responsibility as a performer to give them, well, not only give them our best, but to, you know, share our gift of magic, gift of laughter. And it means a lot to me to see them afterwards say how much they enjoyed it. And so I know I'm doing good. And so, hey, I encourage you, if you're not sure about doing it, you know, if you do close up at a table, you know, don't let that stop you from coming up with ways to do it. So I haven't really had to adapt too much magic for the camera. I've actually, I enjoy playing to the camera a little bit more and engaging. And by the way, when I start doing regular shows again, or so when we all do regular shows again, you know, it's low touch or no touch, right? I really haven't even thought about how I'm going, what I'm going to actually do for my no touch or low touch shows. I mean, I thought a little bit about it, but I don't have a show planned, but I know confidently that I'll come up with something. But doing these Zoom shows is a great, what's the word, experience, a great example or a great opportunity to try out stuff, which this is all no touch. So I'm finding ways how I can still interact with the audience and, you know, ask lots of questions. I'll just show you a couple things here. Let's see. This one I think I did at the OMC, probably back in November, but here we go. Solid through solid. To do this, I will use these two objects, a block of wood and rope. Now this wood is solid, listen. And there's a hole through the block of wood. That's for the rope to pass through. Let's take a look at the rope. Solid cotton rope used to tie things up. That's one. And here's the second one. Now that hole in the block, as I said, is for the rope to pass through. It's like threading a needle, but this is a lot easier. Go. Solid inside of solid. Now, don't blink. Watch this. I'll place it back on its holder. And then to keep everything intact, the top goes on like so. That rope passing through the block. Now, for the magic. Everybody help me out. Hold out your hand, wiggle your fingers. I love it. Oh, and remind me to tell you all the things that are going through my head right now. Everybody wiggle your fingers. Everyone say, solid through solid. I love it. Everyone say, Oakland Magic Circle.
Oakland Magic Circle.
Thank you very much. I think it's done. Watch this. Watch. Solid through solid. That is magic. Thank you. All right, if you enjoyed it, give me one of these. I wish I was in gallery view so I could see everybody. So, you know, as I was doing that, I'm thinking about some things that I think I'm doing a little bit differently. I'm looking more at the camera. I'm engaging you in the crowd. I'm getting you to say the magic words. Another thing about these Zoom shows is I don't even do this in a show. And well, I did it years ago, but I haven't even done it since. And the great thing about these Zoom shows is you've got an environment. I mean, it's like doing a theater show where you've got the theater, you've got everything set up, you know exactly where everything's going to be. It's not like going to someone's home and having to set up, not knowing what the conditions are, how much space you got. But this is great because everything is nicely laid out. So, and then I, you know, can decide which tricks to do next. And this has been a fun one that I've added to the show. So I'll do one more and then we're doing good, right, Gary? It's almost quarter of. You want me to be done right before 8, is that correct? That's right. Okay, good. Here's one. Last month, Patrick Martin performed and talked at the meeting, and it inspired me to pull out a book. I'll tell you in a moment, but I got to tell you something interesting. I had a dream last night. I dreamt that I was performing on Mars, and my audience was a bunch of Martians. Now, you might think they were a strange audience, but actually, they were pretty nice. Come to think of it, they weren't any stranger than all of you. But here's the thing. During the show, you know, most people applaud after I perform. Well, these people, they would do this. They would all shout, whoo, whoo, whoo. Everybody go, whoo, whoo, whoo. Man, oh, deja vu, deja vu. And sometimes after I do a trick, they would stomp their feet. Everybody stomp your feet. Fantastic. And the rest of the time, they would put their hands in the air, wave them around like antennas. Go ahead and do that. And the funny thing is, I asked them, how did they decide what to do? And they said they all do the same thing because they all think alike and they all do the same thing at the same time. And you see, so during the entire show, they would be moving their finger back and forth like this. Everybody hold up one finger and just put it to an ear. I'm looking in the window. Good, there you go. And okay, Larry, you do not put it, good. Yeah, there you go. And now put it to your nose, there you go. Not in your nose, Larry, on your nose. Your other ear, back and forth. Now I knew they weren't texting because they don't have cell phones on Mars. So here, keep doing this, and I'll tell you to stop in a moment. Okay, stop right where, keep your finger there. Now we're gonna make this really random. In a moment, listen carefully to my instructions. I'm gonna ask you to spell your first name. So if you're here and your name is Phil, you would go P-H-I-L or B-Y-R-O-N. Go ahead and do that now. Spell your name moving once for each letter. If your name is Bartholomew, you can just call yourself Bart. Okay, good. Right where, stop where you're at. Now, I don't know how you started, and I don't know where you ended up now. I won't look at the screen, but here's what I want you to do. If you are on your, let's see, if you're on your left, no. If you're on your ear, I want you to spell ear, E-A-R. If you're on your nose, I want you to spell N-O-S-E. Do that now. Now, keep your finger right where it is. Listen carefully to my instructions. If you're on your left ear, you're going to shout, woo, woo, woo. But if you're on your other ear, you're going to stomp your feet. And if you're on your nose, you're going to put your hands in the air and wave them up and down like antennas. Go ahead, do it now. And of course, this is great live. Now, everybody, I wish I had a picture of this. Maybe we can force a photo there. But so this is that was fun. This is a Jim Steinmeier piece, and I don't do any of the Steinmeier stuff. So after Patrick Martin did a Steinmeier piece last month, it inspired me to pull out my books. I was missing a few called Byron. He had one book available. I called Steinmeier. I bought a couple more. And I read this one. It's called An Audience on Mars. And I thought, oh, this is wonderful. So it's like the second or third piece I do in the show, which gets some interaction. And I might ask you this, you can tell me later, but I guess I'm asking more as layman. Do you think it's interesting? Do you think it fools people? Maybe the idea is just to kind of get them engaged, but I think people sit there and they kind of figure it out or backtrack it. But I think the moment of them doing this, especially in a theater or in a restaurant, all doing like this, I think it'd be kind of fun. So that's one thing that I've added to the show. So I don't want to perform all night, obviously, but let's talk about some questions about doing Zoom shows. I could, if you want, you can call me or text me or email me, and I'll be happy to share with you how I set up my music and my microphone so that it plays through. And
Suyashi has a question. I don't know if
great.
Gary, can I go ahead and read that from the
Yeah,
chat?
yeah, that'd be great. Who am I talking to?
I'm talking to Donovan Rittenbach. I'm the videographer dude from
Okay,
Oakland.
Donovan. Yeah, I know you. You're the guy with the big camera in the back at the
Yeah,
back in February. So
yeah.
yeah, so let Donovan. I'll let you share the questions and answers, please. It'd be
So
great.
uh, Suyash Joshi is asking, how do you force a card through Zoom? When you pick a
Well, you could use a one-way forcing deck. You could you could do a riffle force. Here, I know it's hard for you to reach out and pick a card. So here, I'll just move my thumb along the edge, and of course you got to get up close and say stop anytime. Stop right there. You sure? Go ahead. Take a look at the card. I won't look. Boom, boom, boom. Got it? You remember it? Yes. Okay, good. So that's a riffle force. Is that right? Yeah, that's the riffle force. I think actually, I think it'd be Suyash. Am I answering your question? I think forcing it's going to be pretty simple. You obviously don't want to take your. What I mean is that you've got so much control of the elements, but you don't want to take your hand out of the frame.
and she has an additional question,
Okay,
which is
sure.
when you pick a card for the audience and show them the card,
Okay.
Zoom also shows the presenter mirror view so you can see the card supposedly randomly picked. How do you then convince the audience you don't know what the card is? Right?
Okay.
If you're
Yeah. Let's see.
showing
Well, first of all, the mirror. I don't know what you mean by the mirror image because I don't know what
when
that
you
has to do.
see
No, I know.
yourself in the
Yeah, I know what that means, but I don't know how that affects seeing the card. The fact that I can look at my monitor and see
yeah,
me,
uh-huh,
the
and the card
mirror,
that you're holding
mirror or
up.
not is not the issue. Mirror would be that this question mark would be flipped around. That's one thing you can do to
I
correct
think
that.
it's
So it's
not
not.
so much that it's the mirror as the fact that you could see the card. Like if I'm going to show the
Well,
audience the card,
yeah.
I could see it myself, right? Like,
Well, well, I'm going to quickly answer. I think you might have to. Well, first of all, I do very few pick a card tricks, but I think you might have to make an adjustment. I think you might have to. Let's see if it's a what do you call it? If it's a ambitious card where you're not really forcing it, but you're marking it some way. There's a great easy way to mark the card. But if you're forcing a card, I gosh, I don't know, put on a pair of blindfold or just look. I guess you're just going to have to say, now there are no monitors behind me. I'm going to look over here. Got the card. Good. Oh, here. You got the card. Great. Okay. I don't have a card with me. I'll put it in this glass. I'll cover it with a handkerchief. I'll set it over here. It's covered with a handkerchief. So I don't know what it is. And quite honestly, I've seen this trick before. I already know what's going to happen anyway. It's an old joke. I hope that helps out a little bit.
yeah,
And that kind of
great.
gets back to, oh, here's another thing. This is what I love about the Zoom shows. Because, if you're doing 300, 400 shows a year, let's face it, you get a little tired doing the same tricks. Let's face it. So you put them aside, you do something else. And we get kind of tired, I'm repeating myself, but you get tired doing the same tricks. But this is forcing me to come up with new presentations and like this, a new way to force a card or to not look at the card. So it's giving me it's getting me more engaged and more. I'm having more fun because now I get to come up with new ways of presenting this trick, or that trick. So uh,
So we have
embrace it.
another question from
Sure.
Perry Yan.
Okay. Hi, Perry.
Perry is asking, is there an option that allows you to play music via Zoom? Because when he plays it on his computer, it drowns out his voice.
That's right. So this is doing these Zoom shows. I've had to figure out all this stuff. I don't have the answers, but what I do is I've taken my music, a couple things. I ran it through a I have Sound Studio. It's an app for the Mac called Sound Studio. It's a music audio editing software, and I run it through a dynamic compressor. So it doesn't lower the volume, but it takes all the highs and lows and kind of squeezes them down. I don't understand all the technology, but it squeezes it down so that this piece of music doesn't sound as shattering. I don't know how, and it's hard to tell how you're hearing it, but if I didn't run it through a compressor, it would be cutting in and out. So Perry, you might think about, you talked to me about it. Maybe figure a way that you can work with the sound wave to change it. Also, I'm playing my music and my microphone are going through my wireless amp. I think Perry has a Bose too. And the line out is going to my Macintosh. It doesn't have a sound card, so I got $8 online. It's a 1/8-inch audio jack to a USB. $8. I'll send you the link if you want to know about it.
I can add a little bit to that.
All right. Somebody's beeping.
Sorry. In Zoom, there's advanced audio settings. There's two or three options about background noise. You have to disable that. If you disable that, it's not going to assume that your music is background music and try to cancel it out. Like Phil, during your first part, most of the time we couldn't hear your music. Like you were just cutting out about 30% of the time.
You're talking about the trick I did with the block, or you're talking about the video?
Yeah, like earlier you were doing music.
Well, you're talking about the video or the trick with the block?
The trick with the block.
Yeah, the block.
Okay, well.
And we couldn't see the video, but yeah.
Well, all right.
That's
okay, well, I could tell you more about that later, but yeah, so there are settings in Zoom. I played with them, but the bottom line is not until I ran my music, I'm looking at the iPad, ran it through a compressor. I don't even mess with the settings in Zoom. None of that background stuff, I don't play with that. That didn't work for me. That didn't make any difference. Actually kind of made things a little worse. So,
Bill, we have another question from John Morgan. I think this might be our last question.
Oh, darn. Okay.
Are you using OBS, which is the open source, open broadcaster studio?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. My friend, Joseph Bradley, he's running my tech. He's in Fremont. He's on a PC. So that would be the next thing to look at would be to have him run OBS, because I'd rather not have to do any of that. So he runs my tech, but so we're just running Zoom. He's sharing his screen. He's got 2 screens. So the answer is no, I'm not using OBS. That would be a learning curve that I'd have to go through. I will share this too, is that what I think is making my Zoom, well, what I enjoy about the Zoom shows is the variety. It's just like when I do my dinner theater or my comedy club show, I have guests on it. Well, I show a video from a recent show as part of the 1-hour show, and it gives a nice variety. I had a comedian on and a magician a couple weeks ago. I can't remember. Oh, I had Theron on my show last week, and I would show a video as part of a little interlude. So I think it gives it a nice variety instead of just seeing me talking for 45 minutes to an hour. So it's not an OBS question, but I think by mixing in a little bit of video gives it a nice texture.
There are a couple of people, Phil, that had a raised hand. One was Benny and Dante.
Go for
it. Benny, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask.
Okay. Take the fan off. Yeah, so I have a question. I have 2 questions. One is when you record your performance and you want to see then the audience participation, do you record then in gallery view or in speaker view? How do you see the audience?
I record in gallery view so I can see the whole screen like I'm looking at right now.
Right.
I apologize. I'm not looking at the camera, looking down here. And then Joseph, who's my tech, has 2 computers, so he's recording in both. So he sends me a screen view and a gallery view as well. So if you can record them both, but
Right.
I rather have a screen view. I'm sorry. I rather have a gallery view
Yeah.
because one of my magician friends would take a screenshot of one person, another person, and you can use that as a little in your promotional. See their reactions.
Right.
What's
That's
your other
great.
question?
And the other question is.
One other person, Dante, had a hand raised.
Oh,
Dante, go ahead.
One more quick
Well,
question.
Dante already talked. He can wait.
So, like we do most of kids shows, and we had like, you know, a live show, the grand finale, child floating in the air. So
Yeah.
you want to start big and you want to end big. Do you have any ideas of how to do something big without volunteers for kids? You probably don't do that right
Well,
now, right?
Well, no, how to answer that is, well, I'm thinking, what would I do to end big? It depends on what the show is. If it's a birthday party, I have my birthday party signature trick that I close with. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be, to me, the floating trick isn't really big. It's a big trick, but matter of fact, I used to do that at the end of the birthday parties, and halfway through the show, they're like, aren't you going to do the floating trick? And they're like, you know, aren't you going to do it? They're like wondering what's happening. So I do it early in the show to satisfy that curiosity. Aren't you going to do it? So I do it earlier in the show, which solves that issue. But I don't think it has to necessarily be a big trick. If you're doing birthday party, I would do something that's personalized for the birthday kid, and have them come to the screen. Benny, thank you for having me at your birthday for the grand finale. Come up to the screen, go like this. I'm making this up. Go like this, Benny. Yeah, that's it. Big smile. Hold on, let me get a picture. Great. And then, I don't know what it is. Print it out, give it to them. And Benny, here, a memory you will remember forever. There it is, a signature with my name on it. Or Benny, tonight, look under your pillow, you'll find that picture. Hey, Mom, make sure you print that out, put it under the pillow. I don't know, I'm making this up, but so I think there's a lot of ways. I think it depends on what tricks you're doing. So
Sure, yeah.
I invite you all to come to one of my Saturday night shows. If you like to buy a $15 ticket, I would love it. But please come to one of my shows. You know, and I'm not the only one doing this. I don't have all the answers. I'm just finding what works for me. So again, if we have time, Dante's still got that ball in his mouth. I don't know if he's going to speak. But I just say embrace this, and you know, be positive, accept it, embrace it, and it's not about your needs. I can't do this, I can't do that, I don't do magic that way. Forget it. It's about them. Give them what they need. And after my show, when I talk to people, I sit down and talk here. I know that I'm doing it right because the smile on their faces and just the interaction and the social time afterwards is what they really need. Yeah.
Hey, Dante, is it fast one, Dante?
Dante, go ahead and unmute yourself.
I was just curious, Phil, what you were doing in terms of audio. Were you muting your guests, or were you allowing them to mute themselves or whatever?
Yeah, we mute everybody. We didn't do a good job muting it last time, I'll be honest, but we'll mute everybody. And Joseph knows my act, so he can unmute. I don't know how he does it, but he can unmute one or two people. When I say, everyone say, Phil, you're amazing, unmute, and then you get the reaction. Then I think he can mute them again. Then again, I think they have to give permission to be unmuted now. So it's best to mute everybody, definitely. So I say, okay, let's see, Dante, if you would unmute yourself right now, I'm going to ask you a question. What color is that ball in your mouth? Red? Great. Thank you, Dante. Go ahead and mute yourself back. Thank you. We'll move on. Boom. You got to be like, you got to be a director. You got to tell them what to do, and you got to keep the energy flowing.
Phil, thank you very much.
Okay.
That was great. Always love to see you doing
Thank
tricks
you.
and telling us what your wisdom is.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And we're going to move on now to the next part of our show.
I'll just say this, so please check out my website, my Eventbrite page. Go to my website. Please come to one of my shows. I would love it. And
I'll put
you
a
know,
link
always
on
interested in
for
hearing
your show
feedback.
to the it's in the newsletter as well.
Okay, Gary, I'm going to mute myself.
Thank you.
Thanks, Phil. Thanks, Phil.